Like, what is normal?
What is normal? I'm normal.
What makes you say that? What's so normal about you?
What's so normal about me? I don't know. I need.
Okay. What is normal? Like, what is the state of being?
What is normal? What is normal? Yeah, what is normal?
I'm not sure if I'm normal, but I'd say it's more of a subjective thing. So depending on what you think is normal, you'd categorize yourself as that.
I mean, it's
Are you
a
normal?
neutral thing. Sometimes.
Sometimes. Why not? Why not all the time? Why would you say that you're not normal sometimes?
Boring if you're normal all the time. Yeah, you're normal. You can't. Sometimes it's a good thing to be normal, but I think that once in a while you have to get away from the normal to be less boring.
There isn't a normal, ever. No one has a normal.
I think the normal thing to do is unique for everybody, and whatever you feel is normal, keep doing it.
Fitting into your own skin is normal.
Go to war, have a wife, have children, have a house without.
Fitting into everyone's standards. Like Peyton said, it's just being whoever you are and whatever you feel comfortable being, you know.
Hi, I'm Ash. I work at Gutman as a intern and I'm also a student.
Hello, I'm Chet Jordan. I'm a faculty member in the Liberal Arts and Sciences at Gutman Community College. I'm also a PhD candidate in urban education at the CUNY Graduate Center.
I'm one of my students, and I'm a continuing student at Gutman Community College.
So my name is Seth Anderson. I'm a professor of gender studies and psychology at John Jay College.
Orientation.
I identify with being gay or homosexual, depending on who you ask.
What is the difference between gender and sexuality?
L, G, and B are sexual orientations. It's about who you're attracted to.
Who you might be romantically attracted to or sexually attracted to. Gender is more about who you identify as.
You can identify as male, you can identify as female, gender neutral, gender queer, or gender fluid.
It's empowering because there's all these different identities. But then it's also overwhelming because there's all these different identities.
My super specialty has become working with gender nonconforming kids and transgender adolescents and young adults.
So by the time I got to college, I went to Virginia Tech. I didn't know who I was, right? I was so ashamed of myself, and I had kind of just very violently suffocated the parts of me that I found to be too scary to put out into the world, for fear of being kind of excommunicated by my family or being cut off financially. College was a nightmare for me.
Well, I was 5 years old at the time, really young, and I remember going to a church function, and they broke it up like old school, like boys on this side, girls on this side, and I went over to the girls' side because when I was younger, my grandparents displayed girls and boys are attracted to the opposite sex, and because I thought, oh, I'm attracted to boys, I'm automatically a girl. It wasn't until people were like, no, you're. So then I was like, oh, then I'm attracted to the same.
So historically, there's been one theory that's been called the gender inversion theory, that it's thought that prenatally, fetuses are exposed differentially to different hormones. So it's thought, for example, that gay men, when they're in the womb, are overexposed to feminizing hormones, such as estrogen, whereas lesbian women are overexposed to testosterone, a masculine hormone, right? So the idea behind the gender inversion theory is that in a neuroendocrinology level, the brains and the structure of lesbian women mirror that of heterosexual men, and vice versa. So the brains of gay men mirror that of heterosexual women. So what's interesting about this is that you can see that there's an immediate conflation of gender and sexual orientation. The idea being that if a gay man is attracted to men, well, that's feminine desire, so therefore there must be something about him that is intrinsically feminine, and vice versa.
So by the time I was a teenager, I realized I was gay, and I had grown up in an environment that was very violent toward homosexuality. And also and more than violent, just completely ignorant of the realities of gay life. So I hid it, right? I did my best to hide it. I did my best to run away from it. I did my best to shove it down and not talk about it and not relate to my own sexuality.
Other theories that have looked at developmentally, right? So some people have argued that gender atypicality in childhood is an indicator of same-sex sexuality in adulthood, right? So if you have a sissy boy or a tomboy girl, right, those are indicators of same-sex sexuality later. And what we know is that for gay men, that's kind of the case, that being gender nonconforming as a youth for boys can predict later life same-sex sexuality. For women, though, it's not. I could go into a lot of the reasons and some of the theories why, but when thinking about what causes sexual orientation, there's been these theories of gender inversion, right? And then there's been other theories of socialization and seduction, which have never been empirically backed. So some theories used to be that we had gay men because they were seduced by other gay men, right? If you have parents who are gay raising children, that they will therefore have gay children. Sort of thinking about homosexuality as a contagion. That if you start spreading it and have people who are gay, that they're going to recruit. So it's important to clarify that there's been no research that has backed any of these seduction.
Yeah, I feel like it might be true to me because when I was going through a rough situation with my girlfriend, I couldn't go and seek advice from my mom. She would have been like, girl, like, oh, if I tell your father, he's gonna beat you. And something happened when I was in high school and my parents went through my phone and they found out that I was talking to my girls. So we went to my grandma's house and we were all sitting in a circle and they said, you're gonna burn in hell, you're gay, and like just bashing me, and I started crying. And I remember my uncle telling me like, oh, you crying, but you wasn't crying when you was being gay with the girls. And then that just scarred me.
So I grew up in a very conservative Christian family that didn't talk about feelings or identity or culture. Everything was black and white, and there was a right and a wrong way to behave, and there was a right and wrong way to be, and the way you expressed yourself outwardly was far more important than the way you expressed yourself inwardly and getting in touch with who you are and your desires and
how do you
passions and all
overcome
of
this
that.
though? Is it just family? Is it like, is it other
with
outside?
friends too, because my friends be like, you just need a boyfriend, you just need to forget about girls. And then they'll be like, we don't judge you, but if you try being with a guy, then that'd be better. And I'd just be like...
Also definitely like growing up and being young, middle school, high school, where it's not that we're not exposed to different sexualities, it's just, again, we're so young, and if someone is remotely different than the rest of us, you know, we get singled out.
What's
but
your success story now? How is it like now?
Recently, I'm engaged. So, thank you. Woo. No, but I got engaged, and we're getting married. We're not in a rush to get married because we're both young, but I found someone I really love, and I found someone.
I would say that in terms of that idea of queer mentorship, right? I have kind of a group of people who are kind of stabilizers in my life, right? I have someone who is kind of a mentor for me, and he's a musician, an artist, and has been married to his partner for a little while. They've been together for 20 years, right? And he has this kind of model relationship that he's trying to get me to like date right now, right? So it's like this kind of mentorship of walking me through the things that I didn't get to do when I was a teenager because it wasn't safe. Now I get to do now again, well, for the first time, but in a really kind of positive way, right? It's not really under the cover.